Hey everybody, welcome back. As you can see behind me is Project Monaco, coming along really well. I finished up all of the work on the rocker panel and the B-pillar and all that. So I'm going to start taking a break from the bodywork for a little while to do something a little bit more entertaining, which is electrical work. I personally find that a lot more stimulating and fun rather than just schlepping metal together. But anyways, as you can see here, I'm starting to put the interior back together, and there's lots of things to do electrically, but what I'm going to start focusing on is radio. So a lot of fun. Always have fun doing radios for new cars. So let's take a look and see what we got here. So zooming into the front, we see 1, 2, 3 holes in the front, and in the back I removed the rear package tray. And you can see 1, 2 holes there, and actually another one here, which I think is something to do with the rear defrost or something like that. So I'm not sure what that is, but let's just talk about the speakers that I did find. So let's zoom in to all these cool things here. So these 5 speakers came out of the car, right? So just a quick history on what Chrysler did in the 60s and 70s. Is this center speaker here. So this is a 3x10, and this was put in as default equipment, right? So back in the 60s, AM radios are all you had. So you had this one big speaker in the front, and I think this was actually 8 ohms. I think so. So this massive speaker. Then as the 70s rolled around and things started improving, they came up with stereo sound, and then stereo sound then migrated to front and rear speakers. So one speaker started turning into 2 and then turning into 4, right? So I don't know what this car is optioned with, but it looks to me like these things here. So I don't know if you can zoom in on this here, but see, this is realistic. So those of you who know, this is Canadian Tire brand from the 80s. So this is an original Canadian Tire speaker, right? So this guy here probably put these in himself. Then you have these 2 6x9s in the back, and this one looks like this was aftermarket. This one looks like it's Chrysler. So I don't know if these are all matched or not, but anyways, so we got this set up here, right? So what would I like to do? Well, you can do a few things. So the first thing we're going to figure out is what type of speaker setup we're going to do, right? And so what I want to do is I want to put a 4 speaker system, and that means that we're going to have to either get rid of this and just have 2 speakers here, 2 speakers there. That's the easy solution, but of course I don't do easy. So instead what I'm going to do is I would like to put 2 speakers here and 2 speakers here and put those 2 speakers in parallel, right? So I want 2 8 ohms on either side, right? 2 8 ohms in parallel give you 4 ohms. So 4 ohms, 4 ohms, and then 4 ohms and 4 ohms, right? That's the goal, right? So the back are easy. These are just 6x9, right? So you can literally buy these off the shelf. But of course, I'm not going to do that because this is low budget. Instead, I got these old 6x8s, which I got from my old man's van, Ford van, and I'm gonna just maybe put something here and rig this so that this fits there. All right, so these are gonna be the ones in the back, but now the front is a difficult part. So these you can get, I think these are 4.5. You can get these anywhere, right? On Amazon, 4 ohms, but 8 ohms, hard to find. It's like a special order. I checked, it's like $200 for an 8 ohm speaker like this, right? Which is ridiculous, right? So I found a better solution. So where you're going to find cheap, good quality 8 ohm speakers, residential applications. So I got these from Facebook Marketplace for $0. They're giving them away. What are these? These are early 90s surround sound theater systems. So back in the old days, they had amplifiers. Now everyone's got a sound bar on the TV. No one thinks about this. But in the old days, they had tuners, and then they had amplifiers, and they ran these speakers, right? Which are excellent quality. but we don't use them. So these are all thrown out. So I got these on Facebook for free. I got these on Facebook for free, right? And I have to take this one apart. I think that this might be promising. So I'll take these apart. But I did take this thing apart. So you can see here, right? Inside here is 8 ohm. So this is Pioneer brand. Look at the weight of this magnet. This is impressive. And also look at the size, right? So you could easily make a template and sneak 2 of these guys inside here, right? So I'll 3D print a bracket and then put 2 of these guys here. The only question would be, I think it should be okay, but just to make sure that the heating box underneath is still gonna fit, right? So I might have to fit that. But anyways, so 2 of these here, these are 8 ohms. And then I need to find, either I do a bracket and I put another one of these here, or I open these up, or I find more like these things over here. Let me show you these. So check this out. I found this in the trash, right? Someone throwing this out. This is an old Techniques tower, right? Which was popular in the 80s, right? Or maybe 90s. No, I think the 80s. But look at this. So if you open this guy up, you got 3 of these bastards. These should be 8 ohm. I think I might have looked at these. So I think these are 8 ohm. And if you take a look at this, this is just a trim, but that fits, right? And this is the Techniques, right? Oh no, sorry, this is Kenwood. Anyways, the Techniques and the Kenwood and the JVC, these are all basically the same. So we'll take a look at that, right? And then I also saw this bastard. And I thought, well, maybe we should put bass in the car too, right? Hey, it's free, right? So then I saw an auction and I picked up these things. So I picked up these 2 old school Rockford Fosgate punch amplifiers and these 2 speakers for 20 bucks, right? So far this whole thing cost me 20 bucks, right? So 2 amplifiers. I can take this, one's a 2-channel, one's a 4-channel, and I could drive, well, let's see what the impedance of this is, right? But look, we got this bastard here, and check this out. Wow. Look at this. What the hell, man? This is massive. This looks like the same size as this, right? So I could, if these are the right ohmage, then I could probably drive 2, or then I got this. So this looks like it's also somehow a home theater system. And that one's already got RCA hookups. I don't know what the rating of this thing is. I can look it up. This very neatly will fit in the back. You slide it in the back, power that up with an amplifier, and there you go. So you can have you got 4-channel. So we're gonna have a 4-channel system with amplifier. And so now I'll be doing all of the wiring for all those speakers, right? So that's the speaker thing taken care of. I'll figure a way to make all this fit, so that's not a problem. So the next problem is head unit, right? So this is where things become really, really, really interesting, right? So there's a few options. I thought about it. There's pluses and minuses to everything. And so I'll show you what I found.
So head unit, what are we going to do about head unit? Well, if you take a look at Marketplace and you look up your radios, so you can easily find, the right radio for this. So 75 bucks, this guy's in Shelburne, Ontario, and this is the correct radio here. So you see this type of matte finish, right? So this is AM and FM, right? And also there has to be at least two channels, left and right, front probably, and this is an 8-track, believe it or not, an 8-track stereo. So you could get an 8-track adapter. They do sell them, right? So you can plug this in and then feed this to some sort of an external Bluetooth thing or whatever, and that would be really cool. That was actually my first thought, but the problem with that is the reception is going to be poor and the audio quality is going to be poor, right? So I don't think I'm going to be able to drive 4 speakers for this thing. Certainly I'm not going to be able to drive an amplifier for bass and all that. So this is going to be crappy sound, right? But it's going to look cool. It's going to look all original, and and it can generally work, but you're not going to get a lot of good sound, right? So this guy also has a whole bunch of other Chrysler radios. So another idea would be like this. So see this? This is like an early 80s Caravan or K-car application, right? See this Infinity stuff? This is when the radios started sounding good. But I believe this size is a little bit bigger than this, right? But this is the best. These Infinity stereos, these are the best, right? And this one has a cassette input, so you could do other stuff, right? So this is an idea, but I don't want to cut anything, right? It has to just fit in there, right? That so I'm kind of, and also it's Chrysler. I mean, that would be good, but it doesn't really matter. So more thinking, and then I got onto Amazon, and then I found this. So this is interesting. This is a modern head unit with all the goodies, and this size fits neatly into the space for the radio, right? So the radio size is a weird size. It's a DIN and a half size, right? And no one makes those. But this cheap stuff here, this does fit, right? It does fit, and I can make a bracket for this, right? And this has even got like a reverse camera, right? This is like totally amazing, right? So if you click on this video here, it shows you what it's got an Android Auto, so you can have GPS navigation through your smartphone, right? Obviously, a good quality tuner, reception is going to be good, right? This supports 4-channel outputs, and all that stuff. It definitely has Bluetooth, right? So you can hook up your phone. It has an external mic, right? As I said before, it has a backup camera. So this looks really, really promising, right? So this is what I ordered, and the reviews are relatively good on this, but oh, maybe not that good. Oh shit! Look at that, 38% give you 1 star. Okay, I ordered this like a few months ago when it was on sale. I haven't checked recently. I guess everybody found out that this is crap. Okay, so this might be crap. All right, let me test it out to see if it's any good, right? And but it looks like it's good. The pictures look good. Maybe I'm lucky and I'll get a good one. But this will work with sub out, right? Video in, reverse reserve camera in, right? So this looks like it checks all the boxes. And if it does, then this is what's going in. If it doesn't, then I'll probably just get just a regular stereo, and which audio will be good, and then do some sort of an external GPS thing, that type of thing. So let's try this out and see what happens.
Okay, so let's take this apart. I think I opened it when it came in. So that is it. Okay. And this, where's my, right here. Alrighty. So this is the radio bezel, and this, as you can see, fits perfectly. Right? So just nice and flush like that. Like, this is perfect. You can't beat this. Let's just hope that it works. Right? So the complaints are, some. It looks like it's about half people are complaining. The other people half say it's fine. Now, I don't know if it's fine they actually plugged in everything, but the main complaints is this volume button stops working, and I think they also say that the RCA doesn't work, and also it's glitchy. It skips around. It probably activate this touchscreen might be really poor quality, and so it basically starts activating, and it will skip stations and whole bunch of crap. Anyways, let's plug this in and see if we can, if we're lucky or not. Okay, I had it some time yesterday to play with this thing, and good news, everything is working. So this is definitely going in the car, and I'm surprised because everyone's giving such crappy reviews. Everything's working. So let's fire it up. I'll show you what I see here. All right, and radio is good. The quality is good. Sound is good. Okay, so that's Android Auto trying to kick in. But if your phone is off, then it will boot out. So basically, I think there's a couple of idiosyncrasies of this device, which I think is what's throwing everyone off. People are complaining, but in all, everything is actually working. So this is a viable product. It is working. Manufacturers got his S together, right? So radio's good. This is one speaker, so the quality of the sound, you know, is good. Where's my volume button? Right, without an antenna, the quality is very good, right? And you got Bluetooth. You got backup camera. There's a back. You got backup camera, right? This thing plays videos, right? So Bluetooth is working. So I think the Android Auto is probably and the Bluetooth I think is what's throwing everyone off, right? It is working, but the only glitch that I found is that if you download your contacts to this device, then this thing goes crazy. It starts calling everybody up, right? It just nonstop dials everybody. So and you can't stop it, right? So that's a problem. So that is a bug. But if you don't download your contacts, that's a good workaround, right? So I haven't downloaded the contacts, right? So so no dice on that. Okay, so the bases are working too, and the amplifier is working. There's no pops or cracks. Now I'm powering it from a 10 amp or 15 amp power supply, so I can't crank the bass up too much, but it does work. So we got some royalty-free music. So streaming from YouTube to the phone using Bluetooth music. Let's see here. There we go. Told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Alright, switch on the bass. Cause you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you All right, it's working. All right, everything's working, and there's no pops or anything. So if you turn the bass off, man, that's a good amp. Speaker's not the best, but everything's working. I'm good with this. All right, in the car here, just put some tape around the radio, right? Because we kind of have to figure out, right? So making this bracket, I'm going to use CAD to make it. So I need to get some whole bunch of measurements of the opening, the radio itself, and this bezel, right? So I've marked it off where the holes are, right? So, and I'll take some measurements on that. So let's put the bezel in. Okay, so I need to know things like, okay, so this is the bezel, it's in. What is the offset from the bezel inside? How much space is it between here, and a whole bunch of other measurements. And then once we have all those numbers, then we can pop them into CAD and then make up a bracket. That'll work. And there'll probably be a few iterations, but let's start here.
So next, let's turn our attention to the CAD. So we need a bracket for this radio to fit in. And I have modeled the vehicle area here. So this is where the radio bolts in. And then I have modeled the radio. So the radio is like that. And then the trim, car trim, right? So this is what we want to look at. We want to be nice and flush, right, with the dashboard. So, and if you do everything right, then you can create a bracket. So this bracket basically sits here, right, and slides into the radio and positions it just perfectly, so it should fit really nice here. There's going to be a little bit of gap, but I mean the whole thing moves around. It's really going to be tough to adjust this thing perfectly. Anyways, I don't think I can fill the whole thing in, but it should be pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and print this out and see how it looks like. This right here. Okay, so I 3D printed the bracket. Let's see if this thing will fit nicely with the trim. Okay, let's throw some screws in here and then try fit the trim. Alright, the fitment looks pretty good. It looks like it's generally even from top to bottom and from side to side. That looks good. It just seems like like the whole thing is kind of crooked. Like it's a little bit more recessed here, but sticking out a little bit here. But I mean, you could probably angle the CAD so it's a little bit, give it like 5 degrees to the right. Anyways, that's I'm not gonna do that. This is good enough. This is great. So it's gonna fit here. That's great. That's no trouble at all. And you can remove the trim with the radio in. So this is a good solution. I think that's fine. Right, so I took apart these two Techniques speakers that I had, and I can see that there's one that's more of like a mid-range type speaker, and this one here is a beast. This one's got an amazing sound. This is a full range, including higher. So we have full range, this is more like mid-range. And then we have the Pioneers, and these sound amazing. So these are all great speakers. So what to choose? So I measured the resistance on this one. So this is supposed to be 8 ohms, but it turns out this is more like 6 ohms. And these Techniques are 4 ohms. In fact, just shy of it, almost 3 and a bit. So it looks like all these tower speakers, these early 80s or mid 80s tower speakers, those are actually 4 ohms. So if you're building a 4 ohm system, then that's a cheap way to get some good speakers. But if you want the 8 ohms, then you have to go with these modern 90s type of home theater type setups, right? And the speakers are really good. So here's the issue now. This is actually 6 ohms, and this is shy of 4. So if you put these together, this whole resistance of these are going to be more like 2.5 ohms. So instead of driving 4 ohms per channel, these front two channels could be 2.5 ohms, right? So is that going to be a problem? So, well, I don't know. Modern amplifiers are not like the old analog type amplifiers, and it's possible that it doesn't matter.
as long as it's stable. So in the old days, you had to be impedance balanced, impedance matched. So the amplifier has to be impedance matched with the speaker. So if it's a 4 ohm speaker, it needs to be a 4 ohm amplifier impedance. But I think modern, because everything is digital and everything is done with H-bridge digital circuits and all that type of thing, I don't think it really matters anymore. It just means that the less current, the less resistance, the more current this thing should draw. So it might clip faster, it might get hotter, but the sound sounds good. So let's turn it on here with the royalty-free music, and let's see what the sound's like. Sound is great. It's balanced. This one has a little bit more of a full of a range. This is more concentrated in mids and highs, but I think this is great. So this will be 2 of these in the middle, 2 of these on the outside. Overall impedance is going to be low, but let's see how that goes. I mean, if something goes wrong, we just change it in the future, but let's do that for now. I think it's fine.
Okay, we are done the speaker mounts. So these are all speakers ready. They're all bolted, mounted. I test fit them. They're all good. They all fit, and that's good. So for the 6x9s, sadly I killed the Ford speaker. It was a good speaker, but this is not supposed to be removed from this. The whole thing is glued together. So I destroyed the foam on this. Too bad. Anyways. Doesn't matter. I pulled one of these from the donor speaker. Anyway, so we got good speakers. We're all good. All right, moving on. Wiring. So I'm going to just reuse this stuff. Measure it out. This looks okay. Doesn't look bad. Some is thicker than others. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to measure it out, cut the length, and wire these in. So moving on to the wiring, the speaker is not so bad, but the power connector has got a few tricky connections, like the reverse circuit, for example. So let's move on to that next, and let's see what we've got. Okay, this is the speaker connector part of the radio. So everything is connected. All of these wires were measured to length and cut to length. So I was able to build this on the test bench. And of course, special consideration to all the ground wires, the circuits in parallel, etc., etc. So this is good, this is done. So that's easy. Next is internal wiring. So it's not too bad. I took a look at it. Of let's take a look inside here. Now when I removed this thing, there was just a mess of crap. But basically he had this blue wire, and if you trace this blue wire back, this is actually that red wire, red stripe, which I think is correct for the radio. So I think this is the correct radio wire. Now I don't know what he did with the speaker wires, because there's just a mess of unconnected stuff here. So I'm not sure what's what. But basically for the radio, we need battery, accessory, ground, illumination, and reverse wire. So reverse wire is this cable here, which just goes to the back, right? So in there is the reverse. So we'll dig that up. So clock has been removed, and I am going to be doing something special here. I'll get to that in another video. But essentially we freed up the battery and the ground. So we got a ground, we got a battery, we got an illumination here. This all goes to the clock, so we're not going to be using these anymore. And there's also going to be a multi-gauge here. Again, I'll put another video on for that. So I'm going to be doing some duplicate wiring. So I'll be wiring the radio and also be feeding some wires to the multi-gauge. But there is a ton of unused wire under the dash. Let's take a quick look under the dash here. So there's a bunch of stuff here that's not connected. Right, so I got this, I got this, I got this. Who knows what these things do? Where'd they go? They're not connected. Right. You know, what is this doing? Right. Some of this goes to the resistor, but I think that's stuff. So I don't know what these things are doing, but they're doing something. So I might be able to find some wiring. We got a whole bunch of unconnected stuff. There's tons of unconnected stuff here. I'm sure what we could do is find some local battery and ground just for the radio, right? So keep everything neat and isolated to the radio. And then on the other side, we could do our multi-gauge with other wires, right? Okay. Let's go through the diagrams and try to figure out how everything fits together.
Going through the wiring diagrams, it looks like this mystery is all solved. So these are the missing components in the car. So air conditioning, right? So there's an air conditioning vacuum switch, there's air conditioner blower motor switch, air conditioner blower motor resistor. These are not in the car because the car doesn't have air conditioning. So the wiring is okay. There's just universal wiring. Basically, probably all cars have that, C-bodies have that, but just they're not connected. So looking at all these big, thick wires, unfortunately, they're useless because they just kind of go to each other and they don't do anything, right? So useless to me, except for one. So this one here, black with stripe. So this one is useful. This one actually comes from that fuse box. So fuse number 9. Right, fuse number 9, if we look that up, that is cavity 9, 20 amp fuse, air conditioner blower motor relay, heater blower motor, right? So it's a 20 amp fuse, it's a useful fuse, it's 14 gauge metal wiring, so that can be used for all sorts of interesting things. So I'm not going to be using that for anything under the dash, so I might be doing something in the trunk. So what I'll do is I'll leave this alone. I won't connect it to the radio or the multi-gauge. I'll just put a dedicated 14 gauge wire, go to the trunk, wrap it up, and let that be it. And what will I be using for the radio? Well, so let's take a look at this circuit here. So inside the dash there should be a red stripe, and then there's a connector, and then there's a red wire. That was the one that goes to the radio. So I confirmed that it's a red stripe. which comes in. So, but it's cut and they spliced it into some blue wire. Anyways, I'll fix that up. But basically, I'll put a connector back here, and then I'll also put a feed to the multi-gauge. So both the multi-gauge and the radio will get the original radio power for that. So now that leaves us with the most interesting circuit, which is the reverse circuit. So how does a reverse circuit work on this C-Body? Okay, so starting from the very back, we got the backup lamp. And this backup lamp has positive coming in with a violet, right? So violet, if you go back to the wiring diagram, you trace that back, that goes into the loom, that 4 or 5 wire loom, which goes all the way to the trunk, right? And if you follow that one all the way to the front, at some point there's a connector, and that connector changes it from violet to black stripe, right? So that black stripe then, so somewhere near the front-ish, there should be a connector to a black stripe, and if you keep following that, that black stripe then goes through the firewall and then goes to this. So what is this? This is the automatic transmission neutral. So this is the neutral safety switch, right? And this is the 3-prong variety, right? So what does the 3-prong do? So it's actually 4 connections, right? One is the ground, right? This is the one that's ground in neutral and parking position. So the housing of the switch connects to this line here, brown with yellow, which I believe goes to the starter relay, right? So the starter gets its ground from here, right? And this one also has these. So black comes in, black stripe comes out. So what's black? Black is the accessory feed. So essentially, accessory feed exits the vehicle, it goes down to the switch, and then it will get, if you're in the backup, in the reverse connection, then you get power. So this is a supply of positive, right? And this one is the one that we're interested in. So somewhere near the front of the car, I should be looking for where violet transitions to black in a connector. Somewhere it connects it there. And so we can splice somewhere in here, and that'll give us our ground, our reverse signal. Sorry, did I say ground? A reverse signal. That's the one we need. Okay, so we are done, and this is our final wiring diagram for the radio. So this here is coming from the manual supplied with the radio. So I just scanned it in, and I'm just jotting down all the connections. So let's start here, top right. So this is the radio AC circuit that I talked about earlier, right? That's going to be coming in, connect to the red wire here, and also we're going to be making a connection to this USB converter, right? So we'll be putting a dash cam in this car, and there's no USB coming from the back of the radio, so we're just going to put a small converter and then feed the dash cam. Ground will be coming from this here, so there is no ground for the radio. So we'll have to make, there's a few good connection points under the dash, so we're just going to put a connector, black connector, and that will go to the ground to the radio. So next, battery, we're going to be using the clock circuit. The clock circuit also connects to the cigarette lighter, but that's a little complicated. It's a little messy down there. I don't want to get into that. The clock is easy to access, and we don't need the clock, so we're just going to grab that one. Illumination, there's a whole bunch of dangling illumination, so we're just going to grab that. So amplifier turn on, right? There's a small switch, so we're going to put a switch inside the multi-gauge, but we just need to run the wire from now, and that will go here, and then that will be going to that bundle which goes to the rear. Reverse splice, which we just talked about, that's going to be coming into the radio, and it's also be going to the back. So the reverse camera is going to be getting that positive, right? And then we'll ground the camera somewhere in the back. And then lastly is this Fuse 9 future use, which we're going to be sending. We'll just send that to the rear. We won't use it. And there's a couple other things. I mean, the amplifier wire the 8 gauge itself. We'll be running an 8 gauge and a couple of minor connections, but that's basically it. So all this we can do on the test bench. We can finish the connector here, and then essentially put little little male connectors inside the car, hook everything up. So yeah, that'll be fine.
All right, the power wiring is done. I was able to do all this on the bench, so everything's going to be clipped together with male and female spade connectors, and so that's great. So the other connections are going to be in the car. So these are going to be the wires that we have to splice into the car. So I got my soldering equipment, and I'm going to put these in next. So there's a lot of wire. I mean, there's a lot of wire here. You know, we got an amplifier, we got a rear camera, a front camera. So I've clearly overcomplicated this simple radio installation, but it's going to be great once it's working. So let's get the let's do the splice for the reverse next. Okay, I think I found the right wire, the purple one there, which looks like it's coming. So let's see if we put this into reverse. That light should. Jeez, that light should come on. Okay, are we ready here? There we go. Reverse. Okay, so that's the right one. Let's splice into it. There's surprisingly little room here, so I don't think I can get this on video. Okay, so that's just a spliced wiring connection, and I've soldered it together. So I'm going to tape that together and bundle it up, and that will be done. Also, the power connector I thought was cut, but actually the connector is still good. So I can make that jumper to the gauge a little easier. Won't do any type of cutting here. So that's good. Okay, these connections are ready. Let's just double check, make sure everything is good. Battery's plugged in, so let's go through these. Okay, so that should be live all the time. All right. So let's test ground. This is our ground. Check that again. That's good. All right, so let's connect ground. Okay, so let's check accessories. Good. So let's check. That's ground, that's illuminated. Okay, let's check reverse. Oh, there's reverse. Okay, let's try illumination. Okay, everything's good. let's plug this in. Which one this one is. What is that one? Oh, that's sub. Actually, I don't know which one that one is. It's okay. Okay, so first time hearing sound in the car. Unfortunately, the antenna is messed up, so I can't try the radio, but you get a station? Maybe? No reception. Okay. Anyways, I heard static. That's good. So this microphone is not that long. Right, it's supposed to be mounted like up in the visor somewhere, but I don't think it's long enough to go all the way, with a little bit of slack. So I may have to mount it on the dash here. Okay, let me think about it.
Okay, so I used a profiler for construction, and I just kind of took the shape of the top half of the dash and the bottom half, and based on that, I made a outline like so. So that will clip on the dash in the front, and so it's going to be maybe more like that type of thing. And then I put a mount and a post, and then we're going to make a part here for the microphone to plug into. So it'll plug in and then pivot around, right? So the microphone should slide in, the wire should just go right in and then clip all the way down there, and it should sit securely. Anyways, let's see how this turned out. Print it out and see how it fits.
All right, look at this. Pivoting and everything. I think I'll even put it in this crack over here. Cool. Oh, that's really nice. Okay. Good. Okay. Next, I gotta run the wiring for the RCA, the sub, the auxiliary wire, and then we have to figure out where we're gonna lead this sub wire from on the firewall. We gotta find a good spot. Okay, that's next. All right, in the engine compartment, we're just looking for some place to run some wire. And it looks like someone's already poked a hole next to this main wire loom in the engine. So I wonder if we take our little 8-gauge wire, we're able to shove this in here.
And oh, there you go. Okay, let's take a look. So this is, as long as this is an actual grommet and it's not going to chafe against the metal, I don't know. It looks like it's an actual grommet. All right, let's see what it looks like underneath. And yeah, that might be our solution. So this wire comes in just inside here. So it looks fine to me. I can just run that here underneath this and then continue around here. So this big heater box is going to be here. So you kind of have to route it either above or here. If you route it here, then you have a glove box. But basically, yeah, this was the important part. Okay, I think we got a solution. All right, the last step is running some some amplifier cable. So I have some leftover pieces. This is from the Kia, and I had also some leftover from an old Buick that I had in the 90s. This is 8-gauge wire. So the alternative is to buy an amplifier install kit from Amazon, but apparently those cables are not that good. So whatever they advertise, like 8-gauge, it's not actually 8-gauge. It's deceptive, right? So then you're going to have overheating issues, etc., etc. And also, apparently these new cables are not even pure copper. They're actually CCA, copper-clad aluminum. So you're running aluminum cable. So aluminum can't carry as much load per thickness as copper can. Copper is much better. So if you buy a cheap install kit and you're running serious power, you're gonna have problems, right? In my case, probably wouldn't matter. But anyways, I had some old pieces left together, so I'm gonna just splice things together. So I just need a little bit more length. So clever me, I saw these 10-foot booster cables, 8-gauge, also 8-gauge, from Princess Auto. So for $9.99, I figured can't go wrong. So I'm going to cut these up and splice the whole thing together, and that's my solution. Okay, this is our wire. I was able to solder the copper ones and even crimp these ones. I think these are actually also CCA, but anyways, I'm done. It's lengthwise it fits. Okay, let's put this in now and see how that goes. So I'm gonna try to fix this antenna. So the original antenna, from what I understand, doesn't have any connect, right? It's basically all kind of hardwired into this. So if I wanted to just change the wire, I gotta change the whole antenna, which I don't want to do, right? So this is the original one. I'm keeping this. I'm just gonna see if I can repair this. Right. So I bought this tiny extension. And the idea is, if we can cut and paste it, then we can keep using the original, right? At least that's the goal. So let's see if we can, see if we can fix this. All right, this radio system is installed. Everything is tested and works great. So let's just go over it and review what we've done and take it for a test drive. Okay, starting at the hood here, we got the 8-gauge wire running right to the firewall here where we found that hole, and we're able to poke a hole in it and run it inside. Then we got our 4 speakers, 2 in parallel, 2 in parallel on the dash. With microphone mounted. We got our 2 speakers in the back. I think they're probably 5-inch with 6x9 adapters on the back. Trunk. We have our stuff temporarily put because obviously the trunk is far from finished. That was the car. But anyway, the wiring is here, so all the parts are here and connected. There's our auxiliary cable, there's our amp, wiring with the hack booster cable, and we got the reverse camera just temporarily set up. Wiring I have bundled in coming from the back. And then very neatly wire managed along the side here. And it comes up. And then it goes underneath the dash. Our reverse camera just temporarily hanging there. And then our install trim just temporarily installed, and our wire just hanging out until we get that side done. So let's fire it up and see how it works.
Safety included. It's like you also get a Subaru that...
Awesome. So we should be... Oh, that's our dash cam fired up. This is a bit of a pain. I have to get used to this. So if your car, if you don't hook up your phone, it still tries to connect anyways. Anyways, here we are.
What will the tariffs do to the price of engagement rings?
So let's put it in reverse.
Zero?
We pay Canadian.
There we go. So then we get our backup camera working.
Spence will not be raising its prices. I've never been more proud to be Canadian. Spence. Wow! Across from Scarborough Town Center near Square One in Mississauga.
If we flick our illumination,
Vintage Hotel's pre-summer sale is here. This is your chance to get away.
so you notice it just kind of darkened up and gives you a little darkened thing.
Available at Prince of Wales or Queen's Landing and Pillar and Post. Recognized as being in Canada's top 25 hotels by
And also we have that bass switch here. So let's get some royalty-free music.
Hurry, the pre-summer sale rate is only available until June 15th for stays between June 22nd and September 22nd.
Okay, we'll hook up our Android Play.
Hotels.com for details.
All that Android Auto stuff. We can talk to the thing. So if we put a little thingy here. Directions to McDonald's.
There's a McDonald's 1.3 kilometers away. Navigate to that one.
Sure.
GPS signal lost.
Okay, so we switch to Bluetooth music.
Discover new Lindor vegan.
There we go.
Oat-based chocolate that's made to melt you.
Okay, so we have our bass switched off, I believe. So that right now is off. And the, if you can get our, okay, let's turn on our bass. Here we go. Whoa, whoa, nice.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake.
So we're at level 21.
But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue as you fade away. As you fade away. I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. I guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray.
Cool.
As you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away.
All right, we are done. That radio sounds amazing, and that bass really picks things up. So overall, the sound quality is really great, and putting a radio in these old cars is a lot of fun. Nothing really difficult here other than those brackets, which you can do easily. You don't need a 3D printer, but it does help. And that's it. Wiring, a lot of wiring, but use cable management. Be neat with your wiring, and that's it. Easy peasy. So we're good now with the radio. Obviously the car needs a lot of other things, so I'm going to go back to bodywork. So my next videos are going to be probably just all schlepping bodywork and working on the fenders and all that type of stuff. So let me get back to that. And if you're installing a radio on your classic Mopar, then good luck to you.